Hello, and welcome back to NSEN. Here with me today,
Ronnie Bradley,
and Mr. Jordan Powell. We're going to get into a little bit of the social issues when it comes to sports. With the way the media is nowadays with TMZ and the like, Jordan, do you believe that athletes are harassed too much by the media?
No, they are not harassed too much. They are making millions and millions of dollars. They are in the public sphere. They're in the public spotlight, and everything they do is critiqued by the public. And if you're in the public sphere, you have to rise up to a higher quality of living if you don't want to be harassed. So, athletes, I think, should be better people. They should live their lives accordingly to where they wouldn't have to be harassed or even complain about being harassed because they're living their life to a high standard.
Jordan, I gotta differ with you. The exception to the rule, Tim Tebow. He's harassed. People are saying that he does what he does for publicity, and I just don't feel that way. I feel like he's just an awesome person, and they definitely harass him. So, regardless of how much money he makes, he's being harassed by the media. So, yeah, he's an exception to the rule.
You think that Tim Tebow does what he does to get publicity?
No, I feel like that's what the media says.
You think that's what the media says?
Yes.
That Tim Tebow does what he does to get publicity. That is definitely not. He's just living his life to the high standard that I was talking about, and it's bleeding over into his personal life because of his
totally agree
strong
with
Christian values.
Well, do you not believe then that journalists who try to say that he does do it for the publicity are harassing Tim Tebow?
I would agree that the journalists are harassing Tim Tebow, but he welcomes that harassment because of his beliefs.
He's spreading the gospel.
That's right. That's exactly right.
But look about other athletes, not just Tim Tebow. You can go with Kobe Bryant and his personal life.
Right, but they're not professing the love of Jesus Christ on the field like Tim
Kobe
Tebow
deserves
is.
every bit of harassment.
Yeah.
How can you say that, though? How can you say that, though?
For $360 million, he deserves every bit of everything. He's a cheater.
He's a cheater.
He's a cheater.
I mean,
I don't know if
a lot of
that.
a lot of athletes in the history of sports are cheaters. I mean, Michael Jordan was. You can go all the way back for athletes all over the age, but
Who were actually harassed.
do you
For what they
believe?
did.
Do you believe though that? I mean, obviously they're public figures,
Right.
but is there a line?
Of harassment?
Yeah.
Or the way that what they do?
Or is there a line that journalists continuously cross to get access to these athletes?
Right. I believe that there is a line that journalists
What's
cross
that line?
time after time.
'Cause I
The
don't
line
know.
is button into their personal life. But I think, however, athletes they put that out there for the journalists. A lot of them. They're like, oh, look at me, look what I'm doing. I've got baby mamas and I smoke weed during the off season and whatever. They put that out there for journalists to catch because they like the publicity.
How can you say that? Or just that they're just like any other person, like you or me, that does that in our personal lives, except we don't have a huge spotlight on us.
That's true. The spotlight is the difference.
Yeah, like Jordan said, when you're in the public sphere, there's a certain level of
Accountability is the word for it.
exactly, that you have to live up to. And so, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
the common man does not have, well, I mean, they have moral convictions and such, but they don't have that accountability that professional athletes in the public sphere have because they're being scrutinized by everyone. And they're also role models. Or they're looked up to as role models.
That actually blends perfectly into our next topic.
Look at that.
Charles Barkley once famously said in a shoe commercial that he is not a role model. I'm going to start with you here, Ronnie. Are there any more good role models in sports nowadays?
Besides Tim Tebow?
Tim
Besides
Tebow's
Tim
the
Tebow. Tim Tebow is the exception to every rule that we're talking about right now.
Well, LeBron James just
LeBron James.
He just proposed to his baby's mama.
Oh gosh.
After
that
two
is-
if he
kids.
that
was
is
a role
ironic.
model, wouldn't he have already?
That's the definition of irony right there.
That
That
LeBron James
he's a
is
role model, but
He's
he just
changed.
proposed to his baby mama.
Okay, well, yeah, irony.
You
but
have to take into consideration other athletes that don't
That's
do
true.
that.
That's true.
yeah,
He's a
Carmelo
role model
Anthony,
among them.
Carmelo Anthony
Okay.
was with Lala,
Lala from MTV.
for 8 years before they got married. So
Well,
So he's a role model for
no, and I mean
making an honest woman out of Lala.
no, no. I mean, I feel that LeBron James has set the bar higher, so athletes need to start marrying earlier.
The only
So
thing-
maybe
What
it'll
about
the only
Kobe
thing
Bryant? Kobe Bryant got married at 21.
Kobe's a different story.
The only
Kobe's a
thing,
different
the only
story.
thing that LeBron has set higher is the average hairline.
Oh my gosh,
That's what LeBron has set high. Yeah.
the donch.
But in terms of role models, I think not denying that they could be possible role models, but I want to put out there Michael Vick, who did all those terrible things, did the dogfighting, everything else, and then he goes to prison and sits and thinks about what he did, and then comes back and becomes the success that he was in 2010, not so much in 2011, but he's still working towards a career in professional football. He spoke at a college's graduation. He gave a graduation speech. I mean, I think that's coming back and being a role model.
But do you not believe that he was doing that just so he could get his way back into the NFL?
You know, I can't really say
Yeah,
that
you
for
can't
sure.
really say that. Who wouldn't want to?
No, I'm throwing
guess.
baseless accusations out there, Ronnie. That's what's happening.
No, I cannot tell you for sure that he's doing those things to get back into the NFL, get back into the good graces of the commissioner and everyone else. But he did that after the 2010 season, that graduation speech.
That has to. You can't. I mean, it's a good story of redemption.
Definitely.
But you can't sit there and look at Michael Vick as a good role model.
Right.
Considering that he did do the things that he did.
You can look at the new Michael Vick as a good role model.
Yeah, new Michael Vick is a role model. I mean,
But he became new Michael Vick after he did all of these
redeemed
horrible
himself.
Right.
things.
And then you have
Don't you believe in redemption?
Sure,
Well, yeah,
but
absolutely.
Well, there you go.
I'm not gonna model myself after Michael Vick just
new
because.
Michael
Right.
Vick. There's two Michael.
But there was an old Michael Vick.
That's where Tim
Let's
Tebow
forgive
comes
and
in.
forget, okay?
That's where Tim Tebow comes in. You can model your life after old Tim Tebow because he's just Tim Tebow.
So, moral of this story is live your life like Tim Tebow, kids, and you will be a winner. Moving on. Moving on. You've seen in baseball this past offseason crazy amounts of money being dealt out in contracts. And that's not just baseball, that's all sports.
Every sport.
So, Jordan, are athletes overpaid?
Yes. Yes, they are overpaid. Can you? And I think it's great that in the NFL draft that the quarterbacks, especially quarterbacks taken in the first round, are promised so much money before the new CBA that I'm so glad that they dropped down that promised salary of first round quarterbacks. Like Cam Newton, he's playing for like what is it, $4 million?
$5 million.
About $5 million a year for his first four or 5 years of his contract, which is definitely what rookies deserve to be paid. And you know that the Colts, if that were not in place, would pay way, way more than that for an Andrew Luck or a Robert Griffin III or someone like that. And I mean, they're great athletes, but they're definitely overpaid. And I think that gives them a big head like Chris Johnson, who, you know, they hold out for money, they wait, and they miss training camp, and then they come back and they've got all this money, and then they don't perform. And as a Titans fan, I am frustrated with that. And I'm sure other teams are frustrated with that as well. I wonder if Broncos fans will be as frustrated with Peyton Manning being signed because of his neck.
Okay.
What if he can't play to the level he was playing last decade with the Colts? Broncos fans are going to be furious.
Okay, well, Ronnie, do you agree with Jordan's assessment?
I don't know about that. I feel that Tim Tebow isn't paid.
What is it with
It all,
you and Tim?
everything comes back to Tim Tebow.
Ladies of America.
He builds hospitals.
He does. Okay.
He does charity.
Let me address
work.
this point
He's
so
a
we can move on.
philanthropist.
Ladies of America love Tim Tebow.
Okay,
This is
maybe
true.
we do.
This is true.
Okay, now we can
Okay,
continue.
okay, Jordan. Going back to your point about. Okay, well,
What point?
I don't think you actually made one.
Oh.
Is the point that I'm trying to make.
About
Athletes being
Athletes being
overpaid.
overpaid.
About anything, really. I'm trying to say you were awful. Anyways, we'll be right back with more NSCN.
Welcome back to NSCN, where we're going to wrap things up.
Are you serious right now? We have 6 people on the desk. I don't even get a chair. My knees are killing me.
Get out of
Screw
here.
this.
Get out of here.
That was Brandon Hagney.
Brandon Hagney, ladies and we're going to wrap things up with asking, what do you think is the best sport in America today? I'm going to start all the way down here at the end with Ronnie Bradley. Ronnie, what do you think?
Well, I mean, the obvious answer is women's rugby.
Thanks, you took mine. Ronnie?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
Jordan Powell, I'm going to bring it over the other end to you.
Okay. I want to just say that if Pee Wee football were televised, that would be my favorite sport.
And they'd say you were a pedophile.
God.
However, the next best thing would be NFL football.
Let's bring it back to this side. Chris.
Without a doubt, college football. Hands down, college football, best sport in America.
Definitely big false tradition Saturday nights. Bring it back over to this side. Channing Martin,
I'm
bring
going
it
to say
in.
college basketball. As much as I love college football, March Madness, best playoff system in the country.
Yes,
And make sports.
absolutely.
That should wrap up a sports show right there.
Yeah,
college
nonsense.
basketball.
You haven't gotten to my pick yet. And the best playoff
I didn't
system
mean
in
to cut you
sports
off, Clint.
is the Stanley Cup playoffs. Professional hockey is the best sport in America.
I don't know if anybody even watches hockey anymore.
What is hockey?
They play
Some
with
Canadians.
they play
Some
with
Canadians.
sticks
They played
and
in
bottles
Canada.
and I don't know. This has been NSCN. For everyone here, I'm Clint Hofford. We'll see you next time.
Look at my
Ronnie
chair.
was delayed with her. We all went, and Ronnie goes.
This is the best thing
Ronnie,
we've ever done.
Ronnie didn't even do that.
Women's
Nobody,
Women's rugby.
nobody even threw in the Tim Tebow comment. I was ready to walk off when someone said that. I was